What is up, Laker Nation? This is Ray El Barbon coming at you with another episode of the Bulletin Board Material Podcast. And we got a pretty good one for you today, man. We had a lot of things go down this past weekend with the Lakers, starting off with Saturday's game against the Houston Rockets. For those of you guys that did not hear and have kind of fallen off the face of the earth as far as sports go, the Lakers and the Rockets got into a pretty big brawl this past weekend. And it all started off with Brandon Ingram, of all people. So I'm just going to give you the quick summary. The Rockets got a ton more calls than the Lakers as far as the free throw line goes. Brandon Ingram got frustrated because of that. Brandon Ingram shoved James Harden because of that frustration, and then got in the official's face afterward. While Brandon Ingram's getting pulled away from this, Rajon Rondo and Chris Paul are going at it. Right? What they were getting into it about, I'm not sure. Supposedly what happened is Rondo spat on Chris Paul. Supposedly. There's footage out there that, when you zoom in on it, shows Rondo spitting, or what it looks like he's spitting. But Rondo says that's doctored. Okay. What happened? So, Rondo spits, whether it was intentional or not. CP3 doesn't like it and proceeds to shove his finger into Rondo's face or into his eye. And Rondo doesn't hesitate and gives him a quick 1-2 combo. They get pulled apart. CP3 lands a blow to Rondo in the mix. Meanwhile, you have Brandon Ingram around midcourt getting pulled out of the melee, right? He turns and he looks and he sees this all going down. And what Brandon Ingram states is that all he knows is he turned around and he saw his teammate outnumbered by the Rockets and he had to go back. So Brandon Ingram proceeded to go back and with his 9-foot reaches across half court to underneath the basket and looks like he popped somebody. I can't tell if he really got a clean lick on anybody, but it looks like he was attempting to at least put a good lick on Chris Paul. It's not clear to me whether he did or not, but the intent alone shows a lot, right? So let's start with the bad. The bad, Brandon Ingram, you got to get better. You can't lose your cool, man. We can't have you in the playoffs turning into Ron Artest 2.0, right? I get it, man. James Harden is an irritant. James Harden is annoying. James Harden gets every call under the sky, right? I get that, and I can't even be mad at you for being mad, but you got to do better, man. And as far as I can say from what I've seen from Ingram for the past few years is the kid's pretty reserved, so an outburst like this is far and few in between, so I can live with it as long as the kid learns from it, right? And it looks like he did. I really like the fact that he was unapologetic for getting back in the mix. He was apologetic for losing his cool, but he was unapologetic for getting back in the mix, like 100%. And that's cool, man, because honestly, Ingram might be quiet, man, but Ingram looks like he's pretty down. This isn't the first time he's actually stepped in. I remember his rookie season. I forget what little quarrel happened that he was in the mix too. But Tiny Dog, yeah, man. You showed a lot of fight this past weekend for sure. Unfortunately, it cost you 4 games, man. But, hey, those are 4 games well earned, my friend. The good thing out of that, obviously I touched on it a little bit. Brandon Ingram is alive. The good thing that came from this fight is the fact that now we all know that Brandon Ingram's got a pulse and this dude is not faded 24/7, right? Because he looks like he's faded most of the time, right? And I'm sure he's not, but I'm just saying. The guy's got some fight, man. He's alive. This guy's got some fight, man. He's a bit of a competitor now, right? Another good thing, Rajon Rondo. Man, I'm not going to go ahead and say that spitting on somebody is the best way to go, but I think in my book, and as well as a lot of other Laker fans and a lot of other NBA fans' book, you scored some points, bro, by giving CP3 that little 1-2 combination, right? CP3 is just, he's got a rep around the league for doing this kind of stuff, man, for trying to provoke people into things, for all this little underhanded stuff that he tries to pull, right? I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if Rondo really spat on him. Supposedly that's what happened. If it did, okay. Rondo should not be spitting on him. Rondo denies it, so I'll roll with that. But from what I do know that Chris Paul has a history of doing this kind of stuff. And I do know that when you're looking to start stuff and you end up starting stuff, I can't feel bad for you. I can't feel bad for you because you do this all the time, man. Honestly, I'm surprised he hasn't been chin-checked earlier. So I think Rajon Rondo scored a lot of points with a lot of people, and a lot of people that maybe weren't Rondo fans before this might come around now, right? But it was pretty interesting. It was a pretty interesting fight. Afterward, obviously, Big Baby Davis came out and said, I played with both of them. CP3 is a very bad teammate. Exactly what I read, and I believe he said that on Twitter. Ryan Hollins then came out after Big Baby Davis came out and said that, and said he's got some growing to do. Everything that glitters ain't gold. And he's obviously talking about Chris Paul here. So right off the bat, you got two guys that have played with Chris Paul in the past who are kind of corroborating the fact that Chris Paul's not that liked, right? And Rajon Rondo came out and said what he said. And I'll go ahead and give you a little quote off of what Rajon Rondo said, right? But everyone wants to believe Chris Paul is a good guy. They don't know he's a horrible teammate. They don't know how he treats people. So obviously these two guys coming out afterward and corroborating what Rajon Rondo said about Chris Paul raises some eyebrows to some that maybe weren't aware of this. But I mean, if you pay attention to basketball, you kind of know that Chris Paul has this reputation around the league, right? I'm not denying Chris Paul's skills. Dude is like one, if not the best pure the best pure point guard that I've ever seen. And I'm talking about even better than Magic Johnson, just off the fact that his offensive game is probably a little bit better. I'm not saying he's a better player than Magic Johnson, but I'm just saying as far as a pure point guard goes, right? Like I said, this is not a new thing. Chris Paul is known to do this. Chris Paul wanted some smoke. Chris Paul got some smoke. Can we move on now? The fight's been done. Everybody got it. But one of the things that really goes unnoticed is the fact that what did everybody say going into the season? The Lakers when they got Rajon Rondo and Beasley and Stevenson and all these cats. What did everybody say? Oh, man, the Lakers are bringing a bunch of thugs in here and a bunch of tough guys to kind of get more physical. Hey, man, we're 3 games in. Guess what? We just got pretty physical. So that shouldn't be a surprise to many people, right? We went out and got guys who wanted smoke, and here we go. Everything's on fire in LA at this point, right? 0-3. Another thing that happened in this fight that a lot of people were talking about was the fact that LeBron James was sitting there consoling Chris Paul. When it all went down, obviously Chris Paul and Rondo were there. Standing next to him was LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony. When it all went down, as soon as fists started flying, LeBron grabbed CP3, pulled him out of the fray, and honestly, to me, just looked like he was trying to, kill the whole fight. Afterward, he was still sitting there walking away with his arm around him and everything. And everybody was, not everybody, but a lot of people were pretty upset with that. But if you've been paying attention, why would that upset you? This is LeBron James. It shouldn't have surprised you. It didn't surprise me. I'm not, like I said, LeBron is a lot of things and LeBron is not a lot of things. And one of the things that LeBron is not is he's not a, how do I say this? He's not a do or die type competitor, right? He's super competitive, but I would not classify LeBron as hyper competitive. Hyper competitive are guys like Kobe Bryant, right? The guys who are obsessive to a certain extent, right? So this shouldn't have surprised people, honestly. Him and Chris Paul are best friends, man. They're like real close friends. It shouldn't surprise you, man. He's not going to give his homie a two-piece for no reason, especially in Game 3. Remember, Game 3 of the regular season is important to us, the fans. Game 3 of the NBA season to LeBron James is not that important. We lost a crushing game last night. That game, it was Game 3, and I know I've been talking about being in the moment and staying the course and being patient with the guys, but even through all that, man, that game last night really, really hurt. It really, really hurt as far as Laker Nation goes, right? I mean, it looked like we were about to let that game slip away. Then LeBron and Kuz put on a little bit of a three-point contest at the end, tied it up. We took over in overtime, and then we just literally just let it slip away. It was tough. It was tough, but let's talk about 3 things that we at least learned, right? Obviously, Kyle Kuzma wants to start. And Kyle Kuzma, my friends, if he keeps this up, Brandon Ingram might not have a position to come back to, or a starting position to come back to. Kuzma did everything he had to do yesterday. I mean, 37 points or whatnot. Between him and LeBron and Josh Hart chipped in. JaVale McGee had a good game. Lonzo had a good game. Stevenson had a good game. They had a lot of guys chipping in. Our new cat Williams came in. He chipped in big in overtime. But one thing we definitely learned is that Kyle Kuzma and Josh Hart need to start. They need to start, and they need to play heavy minutes. We need to get these guys ready, and the only way they're going to get ready is by getting game time. Josh Hart earned that starting 2 role. Something's got to happen. I don't know what more Josh Hart can do to earn this role, but he's earned it. He's definitely earned it. He's earned it by leaps and bounds at this point, man. And he's got to be out there. Kuzma, obviously, he hadn't been playing that great, but I think the fact that he's playing the 5 a lot is having him overexert his energy. He's losing a lot of his legs. He's not getting that lift on his shots or whatnot. He hadn't looked great offensively up until this point. And of course today didn't have any real minutes against bigs or limited minutes if he did. And he played great. He played great. Another thing we can definitely say now, Game 3, this is about 5 games of Lonzo coming back. Lonzo looks a lot more comfortable shooting the 3. He's shooting it a lot better. He looks more confident. You could just see it. And especially, at least what I've noticed is when LeBron's on the court with him, he has a little bit more swag with him as far as pulling the trigger when LeBron's on the court. At least maybe that's something maybe that's just something I've noticed. But another thing that I also noticed after yesterday's game was the fact that free throws and defense are still our problem. That was our problem last year. Our problem last year was the fact that we could not shoot free throws and we couldn't play the damn defense. I mean, we had a nice little defensive stretch last year, but for the most part, we were for the most part, we were up and down last season, and that's not to say that we don't have the defensive personnel. Obviously, I think the more we play together, the more the guys get to know each other, the better all this will become. But as of right now, it's a real concern, man. LeBron missing those 2 free throws at the end just kind of encapsulated the whole thing. We can't close games if we can't hit free throws. I mean, that's basketball 101. If we got to go to the line and hit some critical free throws and we're not confident with that, I mean, we got a lot of work to do, right? But the one thing I can tell everybody is don't panic, man. I mean, I've stressed the fact that we need to be present. We need to be patient with this team, and nothing has changed. We're 3 games in. Nothing has changed. We can go ahead and revisit our goals maybe after 25, 30 games perhaps, in that range. I mean, honestly, I'd say 30 games. If we can wait to 30 games, I think at that point we kind of have a better idea of what we got. KCP, my friend, you are not the starting guard. You can't be, man. So, there's a reason, everybody's passing around the start Hart hashtag at this point, right? And it's because you haven't really done much to warrant the starting 2-guard role, my friend. Also, we have tomorrow. We have on Wednesday. We have the Phoenix Suns coming up at us. So I'm hoping that's win 1 of the season. I mean, I'm hoping, like I said, but I think we should have a much better game tomorrow. Now we have a little continuity going on. So let's concentrate on what we got going right now, guys. Remember, we might be 0-3 at this point, but don't abandon ship at this point. We're 3 games in. Look at LeBron's stats when he went with the Heat. Look at it when he went back to Cleveland. They haven't been that great. He has always started off slow. His teams have always started off slow. Same way he says when he approaches a playoff series, game 1 is kind of just feeling everything out. Kind of feel like at this point, the first 25, 30 games are kind of a feel-out point. Let's see who wants it. Let's see who doesn't want it. And then we start mixing it from there. If some of these young cats don't fit, I mean, then unfortunately they might be on the way out in the future. If we're trying to swing a marquee free agent. But at this point, 30 games in, there's no reason to fret. There's no reason to panic. I think we just need to be patient. Our guys are still young. They're still going to make mistakes. They're still learning each other. There's still like 5 or 6 heads that are brand new on this squad, which is more than half. Well, it's just half the team. We have to remember that, guys. We have to remember that. Just remember that some of the good stuff we got going on. Kuz, he's got his mojo back. Great to see, right? Lonzo, his 3-point shot looking much better. Brandon Ingram, this got some fight in him. We got ourselves our starting 2 guard for the next 5 to 10 years, man, in Josh Hart. And JaVale McGee is holding it down. Now let's just get him some help. But yeah, guys, don't lose hope. Don't lose patience. It's 3 games in. We got nothing to fret. Stay on course. Don't let the media wrap you up in all these narratives that they're going to push right now. They're going to try to create a lot of narratives. Like they really need to, right? I mean, if we're not creating enough drama on our own, then I don't I don't know. I don't know how we can get around that. I mean, I think we're creating enough drama as it is on ourselves, and we don't really need the media to create other alternative type of stories. But you know, they're gonna do what they're gonna do. So let's just make sure we don't get ahead of ourselves. Meanwhile, while the Lakers are sitting here trying to figure out how to get a win, we got the Dodgers across town ready to kick it off against the Boston Red Sox in the World Series today. Just so I'm officially on the record, I did go ahead, and I'm sorry Dodger fans, but I did go ahead and pick the Boston Red Sox in 6 games to win it all. So I know I'm going to take some flack for that, and I love the Dodgers team. I love the Red Sox team, but I think ultimately it's going to come down to starting pitching. And the Red Sox got a bunch of aces over there. The Dodgers, don't get me wrong, the pitching's been amazing through the playoffs, but I think at this point they're going to lose a little bit of steam because the Red Sox can go bat for bat with the Dodgers as well. But on top of that, their starting rotation is much stronger in my opinion. So I'll go ahead and take the Dodgers in 6. But either way, it should be a pretty good series. It's going to, honestly, I feel like it's going to be another Brewers Dodgers series. It's just going to be, they're going to literally just fight down tooth and nail. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off for the day, guys. I'm going to try to catch you guys later this week. I'm thinking about maybe doing some live feeds before or after the games, or maybe even during half times, just to kind of do a little something more unformatted, I guess. But we'll see. I'm still kind of dealing with some time constraints or whatnot. But thanks, guys. I appreciate you guys listening. This has been the Bulletin Board Material Podcast. I am your host, Ray El Barbon. Thanking you guys for listening in one more time. Again, if you want to check out the audio podcast, go ahead and check me out on Anchor or iTunes. You can also check me out on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. All of that is under my website if you want to check me out, thebulletinboardmaterial.com, thebulletinboardmaterial.com. And yeah, guys, I appreciate you guys listening. Let's go ahead and see what we can do tomorrow against Phoenix, and let's get this W, right? Yeet.
Got no ass, she got no ass.